Good afternoon to all the EAPCET aspirants. This is your Prasanna Ma'am from NEET WORLD. So yes, yesterday we are done with floral characteristics from Morphology of Flowering Plants, where we are left over with two more concepts, that is inflorescence and then families and then fruit. Okay, so yesterday we have completed what? Flower types based on position of the ovary with respect to other floral parts and based on the symmetry. We have three types of flowers, right? One is asymmetric, actinomorphic, zygomorphic flowers, and second type based on the position hypogynous, perigynous and epigynous flowers. And we have gone through sepals, petals, which are non-essential words, clearly understood, aestivation with examples, and then we have gone through androecium, cohesion and adhesion, and then we have gone through gynoecium, wherein ovary, how ovules are placed. We have learnt it under placentation with examples, and then we have looked into seed as well. These are the concepts that we have covered yesterday. We are left over with two more segments. One is inflorescence and second is fruit. Okay, inflorescence and fruit. So here if you see inflorescence, how can you define inflorescence as? Inflorescence can be defined as the arrangement of flowers on the floral axis. How flowers are arranged on the floral axis, that you will get to know on the type of the inflorescence. How inflorescence is made first, from where inflorescence is made. This pattern of development is very much important because this will be there in your sexual reproduction of flowering plants as well. Okay, this will be there in your chapter sexual reproduction of flowering plants. So here you see first shoot apical meristem will be modified to floral meristem. How shoot apical meristem will be modified to floral meristem? It is with this, the main axis will get condensed and the internodes do not elongate. If this is the main axis, that is shoot apical meristem, which is modifying to floral meristem, how it will be condensed? Like this. Okay, wherein the axis get condensed and internodes will not elongate at all, and pedicel here, pedicel will bear flowers. Okay, pedicel will bear flowers. So inflorescence is nothing but arrangement of flowers in the floral axis, that is based on the type of inflorescence. And here how inflorescence is made shoot apical meristem will be modified to floral meristem, where the axis get condenses to the and the internodes will not elongate, and here pedicel will bear flowers. Here you see the apex of peduncle. Peduncle is the common axis wherein pedicels are present. Okay, this is peduncle and these are pedicels. Okay, this is peduncle and these are pedicels. Okay, the apex of a peduncle produces different kind of floral appendages. The apex will produce different kind of floral appendages laterally in the successive nodes. Okay. Pedicels are present over peduncle. As such, we have two major types of inflorescence, that is racemose inflorescence and cymose inflorescence. If you look into the general characteristics of racemose inflorescence, cymose inflorescence, its differences, that is enough for your NEET exam. But then further classification of racemose inflorescence, wherein racemose inflorescence has again two classifications, that is simple inflorescence and compound inflorescence, and even cymose type of inflorescence have further classifications including three special types of inflorescence. This you have to go through in your EAPCET exam. Okay, for NEET though just differentiation between racemose and cymose is enough, but for EAPCET you have to look into the further classifications of racemose, cymose and special types of inflorescence. So here you look into what are the general characteristics of racemose inflorescence. What are the general characteristics of racemose inflorescence? So racemose inflorescence, if you see here, the main axis is indeterminate. Okay, main axis is indeterminate, that will not terminate to a flower. Here main axis is completely indeterminate. Fine. And flowers are born in the acropetal succession. Acropetal succession means young flowers will be at the center and old flowers at the base. Okay, young flowers at the center and old flowers at base. Fine, young flowers at the center and old flowers at the base. Here flowers are born laterally in the acropetal succession. Flowers arise centripetally, okay, centripetally, that is from center to periphery, okay. Flowers arise centripetally, youngest flowers are at the center and older flowers are at the periphery. Clear, right? These are the main characteristics of racemose inflorescence, wherein main axis is indeterminate, flowers are born in the acropetal succession, where youngest flowers are at the center and old flowers are at the base, okay, and flowers arise in what order? Centripetal order. These are the general characteristics of racemose inflorescence. Now let us look into the classification of racemose inflorescence. If simple inflorescence, it is unbranched. Simple inflorescence of racemose is unbranched, whereas compound inflorescence is branched, under which simple inflorescence you have raceme, corym, umbel, spike, spadix, head or capitulum. These are the simple racemose inflorescence. Here you see compound racemose inflorescence include compound raceme, compound corym, compound umbel, compound spike, spadix with compound branches and head or capitulum, compound capitulum. Okay, these are the compound inflorescences. Take a screenshot of it and at the end just mark the examples under each title. Under each type of inflorescence, mark the examples. So here you see first is racemose type of inflorescence. Simple raceme, compound raceme. Compound raceme is also called as panicle. Compound raceme is also called as panicle. So how can you define simple raceme as? Main axis is however unbranched, that is why it is simple raceme, and main axis is elongated. Flowers are stalked. Flowers are stalked and pedicellate. They are arranged acropetally, where young flowers are at the tip and old flowers are at the base. Here elongated, unbranched stem, stalked flowers arranged in acropetal succession, then you will term it as what? Simple raceme. Examples include what Crotalaria, Crotalaria and mustard. Crotalaria and mustard which belongs to Brassicaceae family. And here you see branched raceme. The main axis here in simple raceme is unbranched. In compound raceme, the main axis is branched, and each branch has what? One raceme here. This is compound raceme. Okay, the main axis is branched and each node has what? One raceme, one simple raceme. Example includes Mangifera and Gulmour. Examples are Mangifera and Gulmour. Next, corym. Simple corym and compound corym. Simple corym you see main axis is short. Flowers arise laterally, okay. Flowers will arise laterally like this. Fine. And on pedicels they have unequal lengths. Pedicels, they have unequal length of pedicels. Main axis is short. Flowers are born laterally and they have unequal pedicels. Okay, older flowers are at the edge anyhow and younger flowers are at the center. Okay, older flowers are at the edge and younger flowers are at the center. They reach up to same level of height. Okay, this is corym, wherein main axis is short, flowers are born laterally and all the pedicels are of unequal length. They are at equal height. Okay, this is simple corym. Example includes cassia. Compound corym you see, wherein secondary axis ends in a corym like structure. Okay, secondary axis ends in corym like structure. Here also you can see pedicels are of unequal length, but at the main axis is again branched. Each branch has one corym and here they end up at same level. Example includes cauliflower. Examples are very important simple corym and compound corym. Next is umbel. Okay, umbel and compound umbel you see. Here in the umbel type, the main axis is short. All flowers stalk at the same point. Okay, all flowers, that is pedicels, they arise from the common point. Unlike corymb, they are arising laterally like this, right, where they are of different length of pedicels. But umbel, all the pedicels will arise at one point, okay. They form umbrella like structure like this, okay. Pedicels will form umbrella like structure, they arise at a common point. A whorl of bracts or involucre is formed at the base, okay. At the base an involucre is formed, a whorl of bracts above which pedicels arise at a common point. This is umbel type. Example includes onion, okay. And then you see compound umbel where from the main axis again at the base where involucre of bracts will be there, each type of umbel will grow from this point, okay, arises from this point. Each ray of main umbel ends into a smaller umbel, like this. A double involucre is often present, okay, at each point. Here is one involucre, here also one involucre. A double involucre is present in a compound umbel. So here the examples of umbel includes what ma? Onion. Here in compound umbel we have carrot, which and families which include Apiaceae and Umbelliferae. These are the families which show umbel type of inflorescence. Next is what? Spike, okay, spike type. Here in spike, main axis is elongated and unbranched, and here flowers are sessile. They are without stalks or pedicels. There are no pedicels over here. Okay, flowers are sessile without any pedicels. Main axis is unbranched and tall. Flowers are sessile without any stalk or pedicel. Examples include Acheranthus and Amaranthus. Next is compound spike. Compound spike where main axis branches, each branch will end as a spike. Okay, each branch will end as a spike, and flowers are sessile over here. Examples include what ma? Members of Poaceae, wheat and barley will show compound type of spike. This is simple spike and compound spike where there are no pedicels or stalks. Remember as such. Next is spadix. Spadix is spike type of inflorescence only, but it is fleshy. Okay, it is fleshy, thickened main axis, and here this is covered by a long sheath like structure, long bract like structure. This is called as spathe. Okay, this long bract is called as what? Spathe. Fine ma? Yeah. Here you see spadix, spike with fleshy thickened main axis. This is enclosed by a large bract called spathe, which is common type of inflorescence in most of the monocots. This is common type of inflorescence in most of the monocots. Examples include what beta? Mucus, Coccus nucifera and Colocasia. These are the examples for spadix type of inflorescence. Just to remember, this is same as spike, but it is fleshy. It is covered by a thick bract called as spathe. That's it. Next. Head or capitulum, head type of inflorescence or capitulum, which is most common in Asteraceae family, wherein main axis is flattened and receptacle like structure like this. Okay, main axis is flattened, receptacle, this forms a head. Many sessile florets are crowded together like this. They are surrounded by involucre of bracts. Okay, they are surrounded by what? Involucre of bracts like this. And these are most common in Asteraceae members, right, wherein disc florets and ray florets are present. Disc florets and ray florets. Disc florets at the center, ray florets at the end. This is head or capitulum type of inflorescence. Best examples for this is what ma? Members of Asteraceae, Tridax and sunflower. These are the best examples of head or capitulum type of inflorescence. Next is cymose inflorescence, where the main axis terminates to a flower here. Okay, main axis terminates to a flower. Peduncle will show a limited growth only. Peduncle shows limited growth. Flowers born in basipetal order. Basipetal order means what? You remember all the points of cymose inflorescence are contrast to that of the racemose inflorescence. There in racemose inflorescence, the main peduncle, the main axis is elongated and unbranched. Here the main axis terminates to flower. and there flowers arise in acropetal succession. Here in cymose inflorescence, flowers arise in basipetal succession, where flowers arise centrifugally. Flowers arise centrifugally, where older flowers will be at the center and younger flowers at the periphery. Okay, older flowers at the center, younger flowers at the periphery. This is centrifugal type of arrangement. Now, what are different types of cymose inflorescence? We have to go through solitary cyme, cymule, monocacial cyme, dicacial cyme and polycacial cyme type of cymose inflorescence. First is solitary cyme. Solitary, the name itself is saying, right beta, solitary means single cyme. The main axis ends to a flower, of course, main axis ends to a flower. The terminal flower is first open to mature. Whichever flower is at the tip, that will first mature. Older flowers at the tip here, younger flowers will form at the base. This is seen only in one flower. This is seen when only one flower is produced instead of a cluster. Okay, only when one flower is produced in a plant, that from a branch only one flower is produced, right? There you can see solitary cyme. Examples include Hibiscus rosa sinensis and Datura. These are the examples of solitary cyme. Next is what? Cymule, a very small cyme often found in leaf axils like this. Whenever you remember cymule, you remember the flower jasmine like this, okay, wherein on the leaf axils itself 2 to 3 small flowers will arise, okay, at the tip 2 to 3 small flowers will arise. This represents a reduced form of cymose branching, okay, this is a reduced form of cymose branching. This usually contains how much? 2 to 3 small flowers, okay, at the tip. Okay, very small cyme often found on the leaf axis. This represents a reduced form of cyme. Usually this contains 2 to 3 flowers here. Examples include bougainvillea, jasmine. Okay, cymule examples include bougainvillea and jasmine. Next, monocacial cyme. Here the name itself includes monocacial means one lateral branch. Monocacial, single cassia is present. Only one lateral branch develops each time at each node you can consider. Okay, only one lateral branch develops like this. Examples include Hamelia and Solanum. These are the examples. Monocacial cyme is also called as uniparous cyme, where only one lateral branch arises each time, that you remember. Dicacial cyme, the name itself is saying 2 cassia will arise. Opposite lateral branches arise simultaneously. Monocacial cyme, only one lateral branch will arise each time and each branch will terminate to flower. Dicacial cyme, at each point 2 branches will arise and each will terminate to a flower. Okay, this is biparous cyme. Monocacial cyme is uniparous, dicacial cyme is biparous cyme. The main axis will end to a flower. 2 opposite lateral branches, they arise simultaneously, each ends to a flower. This is most symmetrical type of cyme. Okay, this is symmetrical and this looks like what? Y-shaped branching. At each point as 2 branches will arise, this look like what? Y-shaped branching. As at each point 2 branches arise. Best example of dicacial cyme is what ma? Apomia. Monocacial cyme, it is Hamelia and Solanum. Dicacial cyme, it is Apomia. Then polycacial cyme. Polycacial cyme is also known as multiparous cyme. As here the terminal flower, of course it is first produced in any type of cymose inflorescence. The terminal flower is first produced and more than 2 lateral branches arise at the same point. At the same point, more than 2 lateral branches arise, 3 or more than 2 lateral branches will arise at the same point. This forms a clustered or dome shaped arrangement. Okay, a clustered or dome shaped arrangement. Examples include Nerium. Clear, right ma? So this is what? Monocacial cyme, dicacial cyme and polycacial cyme. Special types of inflorescence, here you can see verticelaster, cyathium and hypanthodium. These are 3 types of special inflorescences. Verticelaster, you see ma, Lamiaceae or mint family. Verticillasta type of inflorescence is observed in Lamiaceae family or mint family, which is a special type of inflorescence. Like what happens is you see this begins as a dicacial cyme like this. Okay, this begins as a dicacial cyme, but later it just becomes into a monocacial cyme. This is the first point you have to remember. Verticillasta type of special inflorescence, what happens? First it arises as a dicacial cyme, then later it gets terminated to a monocacial cyme, which becomes into a small cluster. Okay, these flowers appear in a false whorl or verticell. Okay, at every node a false whorl or a verticell will develop at each node, hence it is what? Verticillastar. This is common in Lamiaceae family, that is labiate, where opposite leaves make the clusters, they look whorled. Okay, opposite leaves will make clusters and which look like whorled type. Okay, examples include what? Ocimum, Lamiaceae, all the members that comes under Lamiaceae family. Okay, what are the important points that you have to remember from verticillastar type of inflorescence, ma? This begins as a dicacial cyme, terminates into a monocacial cyme, and at each node you can see flowers appear like false whorl. False whorl means verticell, that is why it is named as verticillastar. Okay, wherein opposite leaves arise at each node. Okay, so this are the major key points that you have to remember from verticillastar type of inflorescence. Like how verticillastar is observed in Lamiaceae family, Cyatheum is observed in Euphorbiaceae. Euphorbiaceae type, which is highly reduced and specialized type of inflorescence. Here inflorescence is cup shaped like this. Inflorescence is cup shaped with involucre of fused bracts. It has fused bracts and flowers. This contains many male flowers, each is reduced to a single stamen. Many male flowers which is reduced to a single stamen. These are arranged in monocacial pattern. Okay, and a single central female flower sits as a stalk on what? And it has what? Tricarpellary ovary. How many carpels? This is multicarpellary, which has 3 carpels, that is why it is called as tricarpellary ovary. These are seen in which members? Euphorbia species or the members which belongs to the family Euphorbiaceae. What are the key takeaways that you have to remember from Cyatheum type of inflorescence? Observed in Euphorbiaceae family, many male flowers are present, but this terminates to a single male flower, single stamen, and these are arranged in what pattern? Monocacial pattern. Single central female flower is there, but this is tricarpellary ovary. It has tricarpellary ovary. These are the points that you have to remember from male flower, female flower of Cyatheum type of inflorescence, which is observed in Euphorbiaceae family. Next is Hypanthodium type, which is very important, ma. Quite a times we got question from this type of inflorescence, which is observed in ficus fig type of family. This is closed fleshy inflorescence. Okay, this is closed fleshy inflorescence. The peduncle enlarges into a hollow flask shaped structure. Okay, peduncle will enlarge into a hollow flask shaped structure, which is synchronous with a small opening. That opening is called as what? Ostiole. Opening is called as ostiole. Inside the cavity, many sessile unisexual flowers are there. Sessile unisexual flowers means those flowers which do not have stalks. Okay, inside each cavity, many sessile unisexual flowers, they are arranged irregularly. Male flowers occur near the opening and female flowers occur deep inside. Okay, male flowers are here at the opening and female flowers are deep inside with sterile gall flowers in between. So, here near to the opening, that is ostiole, you have male flowers, and at the base you have female flowers. In between you have what? Sterile flowers. Pollination is done by what? Blastophaga wasp. Here pollination is done by Blastophaga wasp, and after fertilization this entire inflorescence will turn to what? Fruit. After fertilization, that is fig fruit. Okay, entire inflorescence will develop into a fruit post fertilization. And here the pollinating agent is what, ma? Blastophaga. These are observed in members of ficus. So, 3 types of special inflorescences. First is what? Verticil aster, which is observed in Lamiaceae family. Second is Cyatheum, which is observed in Euphorbiaceae. Third is Hypanthodium, which is observed in members of ficus. These are 3 types of special inflorescence. So, with this inflorescence part is done, right ma? So, what all we have learned? First, how inflorescence is formed, right? What is the actual definition of inflorescence and how inflorescence is developed? By condensation of shoot apical meristem, which first forms a floral meristem and then it develops into the floral axis, after which we have dealt with 2 different types of inflorescence, that is racemose and cymose. Under racemose type of inflorescence, again we have classification based on branching. If it is unbranched, all those types of raceme comes under what? Simple racemose inflorescence, and if branches are present, compound racemose inflorescence. As such, we have gone through simple raceme, compound raceme, simple corymb, compound corymb, simple umbel, compound umbel, spike and compound spike, and then spadix, head or capitulum. These are the things that we have exercised from racemose inflorescence, after which we have gone through cymose inflorescence. Cymose inflorescence we have gone through what? First is what? Monocacial cyme, dicacial cyme, polycacial cyme, cyatheum and single cyme inflorescence, right? What is that? Single cymose we have learned, right? First one, yeah, solitary cyme. Solitary cyme, cymule, monocacial, dicacial, polycacial. These are the 5 types of cymose inflorescence that we have gone through. And lastly, 3 special types of inflorescence, that is verticil aster, verticil aster, hypanthodium and cyatheum. Okay, verticil aster, cyatheum and hypanthodium. These are 3 types of special inflorescence. Okay, so this is complete picture on inflorescence ma. Question will not escape from this concept because complete content is given with examples. Remember it carefully. And after which we are left over lastly, that is fruit. Remember one thing, ovule pre-fertilization. First let me draw a diagram and tell you. Yeah, this is what ma? One carpel, single carpel. Single carpel unit will have what? Stigma, style and ovary, which is the basal bulged portion of the carpel. So, inside ovary you have ovules. Let me take a single ovule here. Single ovule, most of the angiosperms will have inverted ovule. That inverted ovule is what ma? Anatropous ovule. This ovule at the center, it has what? Embryo sac, which is 8 nucleated 7 celled. At the chalazial end you have 3 antipodals. At the micropylar end, which has pore here, right? Micropylar end, you have egg apparatus, and center you have central cell. Clear, right ma? So this is what? Ovule. Ovule post fertilization will turn to what? Seed. Ovule post fertilization will turn to seed, and ovary wall, this ovary wall or ovary post fertilization, this modifies to fruit. Okay, and here the integuments of ovule will modify to what? Integuments to seed coat. Clear, right? So this is what you have to fix it in your mind, that ovule post fertilization it modifies to seed, and ovary to fruit, integuments of the ovule to seed coat. Clear, right? So here what is a fruit? Mature or ripened ovary which developed after fertilization, that is post fertilization, is said to be fruit. But there are some fruits which are formed without fertilization. Those fruits are said to be what? Parthenocarpic fruits or seedless fruits. Parthenocarpic or seedless fruits. Fine, right ma? Where ovary grows into fruit without any fertilization. Ovary will grow into fruit without any fertilization. Here the fruit wall or pericarp, based on whether it is having a divisible pericarp or indivisible pericarp, we have two different types of fruits. One is dry fruit and second is fleshy fruit. Dry fruit will have indivisible pericarp, fleshy fruits will have thick and fleshy pericarp, wherein fleshy fruit has three layers of the fruit wall, that is epicarp, mesocarp and endocarp. Clear, right? Next you see fruits based on whether the ovary is turning to fruit or any other floral part is also involved in fruit formation. We have two different types of fruits. One is false fruit and second type is true fruit. False fruit is where along with ovary, any other floral part is also involved. Floral part is involved in fruit formation. Best example if you can take is apple, where thalamus contributes to fruit formation. Thalamus or receptacle contributes to fruit formation. Best example is apple. And in true fruits, based on whether the complete inflorescence is turning to fruit or a single ovary is turning to fruit, we have three different types again: simple fruits, aggregate fruits and composite fruits. Simple fruits just we have discussed now, based on divisible pericarp or indivisible pericarp, we have dry fruits and fleshy fruits. Dry fruits have indivisible pericarp, fleshy fruits have divisible pericarp, where it is divisible into epicarp, mesocarp and endocarp. Dry fruits we have dehiscent and indehiscent type of fruits. Fleshy fruits we have berry, drupe, hesperidium, peppo and pome. These are 5 different types of fleshy fruits. Here you see false fruits. The thalamus or pedicel also contributes to fruit formation here in false fruit. Okay. Examples include apple, cashew and strawberry. These are the examples of false fruit. Next, true fruits develops from ovary. True fruit develops directly from ovary, where ovule turns to seed and ovary turns to fruit. Both processes occur simultaneously. You remember, we can expect a statement based question considering post fertilization events in connection with sexual reproduction of flowering plants, where you have to remember this, like endosperm development is prior to embryo development. Okay. Endosperm development is prior to embryo development. Endosperm development is prior to embryo development. But here, if you consider seed and fruit formation takes place simultaneously, whereas embryo development is happening after endosperm development. This statements you keep it in your mind, ma. These are the 4 post fertilization events: endosperm development, embryo development, ovule turning to seed and ovary forming to fruit, or seed formation and fruit formation. These events happen simultaneously. Endosperm development happens prior to the embryo development. Remember these 4 post fertilization events. Here true fruit and in true fruit we have discussed, right, we have 3 types: simple, aggregate and composite. Simple fruits are formed from a single syncarpous ovary of a single flower. Okay, simple fruit is formed from syncarpous ovary of a single flower. Aggregate fruits are formed from polycarpillary ovary of apocarpous ovary. Okay, aggregate fruits are formed from polycarpillary apocarpous ovary. Composite fruits, they are formed from the entire inflorescence. Okay, they are formed from entire inflorescence. If you want, just take a screenshot of it, ma. Take a screenshot of it. Clear, right? Yeah. Here you see simple fruits. First, dry fruits, where pericarp is indivisible. It has indivisible pericarp, which is dry or non-fleshy. Dry indehiscent fruits, you see, dry indehiscent fruits, where seeds remain unopened. Seeds liberate after disintegration of pericarp. Okay, seeds will liberate after disintegration of pericarp, and fruits are single seeded here. Okay, these are the key points that you have to remember from dry indehiscent fruits. First type in dry indehiscent fruit is Caryopsis, where pericarp is fused with seed coat. Take down ma, pericarp is fused with seed coat here. Examples include grasses and rice. Okay. Second type of dry indehiscent fruit, nut, wherein fruit develops from multicarpellary syncarpous unilocular ovary. Okay. Fruit develops from multicarpellary syncarpous unilocular ovary. Here it has a stony pericarp. It has a stony pericarp. Example includes cashew. Okay. Example includes cashew. Next, Cypsilla. Cypsilla, third type of dry indehiscent fruit, where a single seeded fruit it is, and it has persistent pappus like calyx. Pappus is papery calyx which is still persistent on the fruit. Examples include Tridax. Okay. So, you have to be clear with three types of dry indehiscent fruits ma. First is Caryopsis, second nut, third is Cypsilla. Next is dry dehiscent fruits. Dry dehiscent fruits, where fruits will break open and they liberate the seeds. Fruits break open and they liberate seeds. Examples include legume, pod, includes pea bean, where they dehisce dorsiventrally into two equal halves. Okay, where they dehisce dorsiventrally into two equal halves. Siliqua and mustard, capsule, datura cotton, they dehisce in different ways to liberate the seeds. Okay, capsule, datura and cotton, they dehisce, they cleave in different ways to liberate seeds. Next is what? Succulent or fleshy fruits. Succulent or fleshy fruits, we have 5 different types: drupe, Hesperidium, pepo, pome. Okay, drupe, pepo, pope and Hesperidium, and then these are the 4 types we have: drupe, berry, pepo, pome and Hesperidium. 5 different types of succulent or fleshy fruits. First you see ma, drupe type. This develops from what? See, every type of fruit you have to remember is from what type of ovary it is developing. Okay, and what are the examples for that particular type of fruit. These are the 2 points that you have to remember for each type of fruit. If you consider drupe, this develops from what? Monocarpellary superior ovary. Okay, monocarpellary superior ovary. And here in mango if you take, the pericarp is thin, mesocarp is edible, endocarp is stony. And here in fleshy fruits you have to be very clear on which layer of this fruit wall is edible and which is stony, which is not edible. Here you see mango and coconut, both are the examples under drupe. But then here for mango, pericarp is thin, mesocarp if you consider both for coconut and mango, mesocarp is edible in mango here, mesocarp is fibrous for coconut. Endocarp is stony in mango, endocarp is like a hard shell in coconut. Okay, pericarp is thin, mesocarp is edible and fibrous in coconut, endocarp is stony here in drupe and hard shell in coconut. Clear, right? This thing you have to remember. Keep how many ever star marks you want. That important it is, n number of times asked both in EAPCET and NEET. Okay. Next is berry. This develops from bi or multicarpellary syncarpous gynoecium. Okay, develops from bi or multicarpellary syncarpous gynoecium, where mesocarp, endocarp will fuse to form a pulp. Mesocarp and endocarp will fuse to form a pulp. Seeds are hard here. Okay, examples you can take guava, grapes and tomato. These are the examples: guava, grapes and tomato. Next is pepo. This is tricarpellary, unilocular and inferior ovary. Okay, it is tricarpellary, unilocular and inferior ovary, where epicarp is like a rind. Epicarp is like a rind. Mesocarp is fleshy. Endocarp is smooth. Okay, epicarp is rind, mesocarp is fleshy, endocarp is smooth. Examples include cucumber. And then you see ma, Hesperidium. This develops from multicarpellary syncarpous multilocular superior ovary, which is simply you can consider axile placentation, okay, wherein these are leathery epicarp with volatile oil glands. It has volatile oil glands, papery mesocarp, and endocarp wall will bear juicy hairs. Endocarp wall bears juicy hairs. Example for Hesperidium is citrus. Okay, this is the example for Hesperidium. Next is pome. Pome develops from inferior ovary of bi or multicarpellary gynoecium. Okay, pome develops from inferior ovary of bi or multicarpellary gynoecium. This is surrounded by fleshy thalamus. Endocarp is cartilaginous here. Endocarp is cartilaginous. Example includes apple. Next is aggregate fruits. Okay, aggregate fruits, here you can see fruit develops from polycarpellary apocarpous ovary. Aggregate fruit develops from polycarpellary apocarpous ovary. Each carpel of apocarpous gynoecium will develop into a fruitlet. Each carpel of apocarpous gynoecium will develop into a what? Fruitlet. Example for aggregate fruit includes Annona squamosa. Then composite fruit. Fruits develop from entire inflorescence. Fruit develops from entire inflorescence. Example includes pineapple, jackfruit and ficus, that is fig. Okay. Here entire inflorescence will turn to fruit. Pineapple, jackfruit and fig. Next, schizocarpic fruit. Here fruit splits into one-seeded bits or mericarps. Okay, schizocarpic fruit where single fruit will split into one-seeded bits or pericarps, mericarp. Example includes acacia and castor. Okay, so with this complete fruit types and inflorescence is done. These two things are very important, man. These two segments are very important actually, inflorescence and fruit, which is very broad. But then take some time, divide it into chunks, revise it properly with examples. Okay, I think in a single reading or in a single class you cannot revise the complete examples, you cannot remember the complete examples, but then have a flow chart at one point, all the flow charts which I have given you, right? For everything I gave you flow chart. That flow chart you take a screenshot, write it in a separate page, and here itself you take down all the examples for each type, be it vegetative characters, floral characters, inflorescence and fruit. Okay, all flow charts you have and write examples at one end only. Okay, this is the advice that I can give you. And we are left over with what now? Morphology, families. Families, of course we will learn it in taxonomy of angiosperms, but here itself we are covering. Okay, 3 families, that is Fabaceae, Solanaceae, Liliaceae and Brassicaceae also we will cover now. So in our next class we will finish off all the families, and then in our next class only we will solve all the EAPCET previous year questions. So stay tuned, and in our next class revise everything and sit for the next class. That's all I can tell you. Revise everything, sit for the next class where we will be covering up the complete families and then EAPCET previous year questions from morphology. Okay, so that's all for today's session beta. Thank you.